Anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying the recent content. As you can see, I've been messing around with a lot more complicated stuff, especially the stuff that is dealing with these animations. As of lately, I've been doing just a whole bunch of animation stuff, which is super complicated. And I would really appreciate if you guys leave a like if you actually enjoyed this stuff. Let me know that you want to see more of this type of content and that you appreciate the hard work that I have been doing. Now, the main goal for today's tutorial, more than anything else, was actually to give me experience making first-person animations. So I did intentionally ignore the third-person animations, which is why my hand looks a little weird right now. That's because I entirely decided to ignore the third-person animations. Don't worry, later tutorials are coming out where I'm going to be fixing that, like the Thor commands. I'm going to be doing first-person animations and third-person animations all at the same time. It's going to be very complicated. But today had a specific purpose, and that is to give you guys some cool magic that you can do, as well as mess around with first-person animations for yourself. So, that being said, we're using the same system that we used for the Spider-Man set of tutorials, but I've actually done a lot of experimenting, a lot of studying, and I actually understand it a lot more. I know how to switch between different animations really smoothly. I can control the speed at which I can switch between different keyframes. You guys are really going to see that in some of the custom animations I have for the upcoming Thor remaster. But yeah, I am really happy with how these animations turned out. So, if you guys couldn't already tell from that intro, this is designed to be done in first person, and we have a couple of different things going on. I will actually go ahead and turn myself into survival here, and you'll notice that as I pick these guys up, they're going to start summoning in those purple strands, which are actually healing you. As you are stealing the soul of your victims, you are going to heal from it. So on top of... Well, that's interesting. Okay, there's not really a ton of... Hold on. Huh. So there's not a ton of items that actually have different animations when they're in your hands, but apparently crossbows do. What do bows have? Nope. Interesting. Okay, so fun fact, we can make custom animations for holding things like bows and tridents and crossbows. That is something I'll have to look into for a future tutorial. But in the meantime, let's not get too distracted. We're actually focusing on just the first-person custom animations that we have for the hands, which is pretty simple for this one. You kind of raise up, and then you bring your fist back into yourself, and that's kind of the final snap. So as you're dealing damage to an entity, it is going to summon in those purple tracking orbs. They're going to kind of radiate off in a random direction before teleporting in the direction that you are in order to heal you. Additionally, when we actually kill something, you guys did see this in the introduction already. When I actually kill something with the final snap, it's going to summon in a blood seeker that's going to track onto enemies and deal a ton of damage. Now, the version I made in the intro has a lot longer duration than the one in the tutorial, but it's super easy to adjust that on your own. But of course, it can chain through and kill multiple different enemies, which I think is super cool. So, that being said, let's actually get into it. Now, if you guys watched my Spider-Man tutorial, you will know that I used a similar system by Antec. I actually made some modifications to it, and I made some modifications to this one as well. So, as per always, I'm going to show you all of these, even though I will not explain all of these. However, all of these will be in the channel, the video description, so that you don't feel the need to manually copy all of these down. And if I forgot to do that, just leave me like 5 comments saying that I forgot to do it, and I'll get to it at some point. Hopefully I'll remember to do it before the video's out, but sometimes I forget. You know, real life happens. So, I am considering doing an advanced play animation tutorial that's going to include all of these things fully explained. Let me know if that's also something you guys would like. It will not be easy, it will not be simple, but it will show you guys how to easily make your own custom animations. But like I said, all those will be in the video description. For these ones, you need to put them all in a chain, have an impulse at the bottom that needs redstones, and every time you load up a world, you're just going to press that button. That's going to run all these animations at once and basically make it so that your animations are properly functioning. When you log out or when you change skins, you'll need to press this button again to reapply all these animations so that they can be affected by the molang variables. So I just want to share that out of the way. We're going to get into some of the stuff that I actually am going to explain before we get back into the animations, which are, of course, at least in my opinion, the really cool part about this specific creation. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so first things first, we have this random rotting armor stand that I'm going to put a dragon head on. Do I want a turtle head? No, I want a dragon head. Boop, dragon head. There you go. So basically what this is doing is you guys are seeing as I lift these guys, see the purple stuff is kind of going off in a bunch of different directions, and then, after a couple seconds it tracks to you. It's actually copying the rotation of the armor stand to choose its initial facing direction, essentially. So that just makes it so it kind of is creating these strands that are then drawn into you, which I think is a pretty cool visual effect. But that's the point of this armor stand right here. So the first command that we have right here is literally just going to teleport whatever is named rot above it and constantly changing its angle by 7 degrees. And this is going to make it so we summon an armor stand rot if there is not already an armor stand named rot nearby at the exact coordinates that is 1 block above this command block. So these coordinates will be different for you guys. So once again, that's all set up. Now we're actually going to get to start talking into what is the meat of these commands here. Get out your crossbow. Okay, so the way this is going to work is you have to have a soul lantern in the last slot of your hotbar. That is going to give you the soul draining abilities, or the blood magic abilities. As soon as I take it off, I can no longer do it. I'm not getting the animation. There's a mob here. It doesn't do anything when I sneak. As soon as I put it here, and you're gone. You're dead. So that's how that works, basically. So what we're doing is looking at the player. Is their soul lantern in their inventory in the 9th, or technically slot 8 because it starts at 0, but the 9th slot of their hotbar is what we're checking. If so, we're going to give the tag, or give the scoreboard of soul plus 1 to the player. So I will actually show you that scoreboard. As I sneak, my soul score is going to go up, and as soon as I stop sneaking, it's going to set down to 0. This is that command right here. Basically, if a player is not sneaking, set their soul score to 0. And finally, if the player no longer has the lantern in their 9th slot, then basically, or in their 8th slot, then go ahead and set their soul score to 0. So the other thing you will need to know is you will need to make 2 scoreboards. So do scoreboard objectives add soul dummy, and you also need to do anim dummy. Those are the only 2 scoreboards we need for this project. Okay, now we're going to get into the effect. So while the player has a soul score between 1 and 60, they're going to teleport all mobs in front of them within a 4.5 block radius that basically teleport them still. Then, if there is basically blocks right below the mob, we're going to teleport them slightly up. This just makes it so instead of just landing on the ground, it's actually going to go upwards a little bit, but only about a block or so. I should just kill you with this. I don't know why I didn't. There we go. That's easy. Okay. So now we have these guys. And what we're doing here is basically making it so that while the player is draining a mob, while there's a mob within this facility, it's going to start summoning in these armor stands named Drain on a 16-tick delay. So pretty simple. Those are going to be the healing orbs. We're going to give the Drain armor stands invisibility. And by the way, I should mention that it's copying the rotation of this as they are getting summoned in. So then we're going to give them the tag Whimsy. Then we are going to basically go here and make it so that as a thing it's getting its soul drained between 1 and 59, it's actually taking one entity tick damage, so it does a little bit of damage as it's draining you, and then a huge chunk of damage at the end is how this works. And these are just some of the particles for the mobs that are getting picked up. This is making it so that right when mobs get picked up, they actually get pulled in a little bit towards you. So you guys can see here, if I get this guy, he's actually going to start teleporting a little bit forward towards me. And so it almost looks like you're kind of pulling him in and then, you know, draining out his soul, more or less. Okay. And so this is the second teleport forward. So we actually have two. So this is 1 through 4. And this is 5 through 14. It's basically just making it so it kind of gets a big burst where it's coming towards you really quickly and then comes towards you a little bit slower and then it stops. So that's just kind of makes that smooth little pool looking thing. Okay. Now we are going to get into the actual timers for things. So basically anything that has the tag of drain is going to get the soul timer of 1. And once it's 90 or higher, we're going to kill it. Basically, this just makes it so that the little seekers that are going to heal you will die after they're alive for 90 ticks. Okay, now we're going to get into the particles. So the base particle for anything named drain is going to be the dragon breath particle. That's the purple one. Then we're basically going to make it teleport itself forward and a little bit upwards if its soul score is less than 30. Now you might be thinking, just why are we doing that exactly? Don't we want to be tracking towards the player? Well, remember, at first, it just goes off in a random direction. And that's what's going on. So it's basically going to go off for a random direction, and then it's going to teleport towards the player. Okay. So that is this. I think I repeated that by accident one too many times. Yes. I think you repeated. Anyways, this is going to make it so that once the soul score is 30 or higher, it's actually going to start teleporting itself towards the player. And finally, this is going to make it so that when it actually hits the player, it is going to have a regeneration effect. Basically, it'll give you 3 seconds of regeneration 4. So it's actually going to kill you quite a lot. So it is something that if you're in a lot of danger, even if there's a ton of mobs attacking you, this should be able to keep you alive pretty easily. See, you heal out of a lot of damage on top of the fact that getting kills with it makes the Blood Seeker, which does a ton of damage and can wipe out hordes. Alright, let's get into what the tag Whimsy is. Basically, anything with the tag Whimsy, it's going to have a circulating series of blue flame particles surrounding them. So this is on a 4-tick delay. This just makes it have a blue flame particle above it, blue flame particle beside it, and this is on a 1-tick delay. On another 1-tick delay, blue flame particle on the other side, or sorry, below it, and blue flame particle on the other side, also on a 1-tick delay. Just makes a circulating surrounding blue flame particle to give it a little bit more texture. And this is also going to make it so anything with the tag Whimsy, and this is on a 6-tick delay, is going to teleport up a little bit. It's going to teleport up a little bit, teleport up a little bit. These are all 1-tick delays, by the way. And then it's going to teleport down, teleport down, teleport down. Those are all on 1-tick delays. So if you guys look really closely at how these are moving, they're actually going to kind of wobble in the air a little bit. You see they kind of make an up and down moving motion. That is also one of the things that the Whimsy tag does. Just because I wanted them to look more whimsical, so I gave it the Whimsy tag. Shout out if one of your friends you know is deserving of the Whimsy tag. Let me know in the comments which of your friends is most deserving of the Whimsy tag for their whimsical nature. Okay. Next thing we're going to be doing is actually detecting if we get a kill with the final crunch. Now, I've only been using pillagers, which have enough health that they will die with the final crunch. However, I don't want to be summoning blood seekers just because I finished the animation. If I actually summon in something like an iron golem that doesn't have enough health, or that does have enough health to tank this, you'll see it takes a big chunk of damage, but it doesn't summon in a blood seeker. That's on purpose. You only get a blood seeker if you actually get the kill. This also allows you to easily adjust the damage to whatever fits your specific needs and make it so it only works on a kill, which does mean that we do need a form of kill detection. See, right there we have the Bloodseeker. So that's what this is. Basically, whenever we have the soul of 60, that means we're finishing up the attack. We're going to basically give every mob in the area in front of us a totem of undying. Then, actually didn't use a play sound, so we can skip that. Then you're going to make it do 30 override damage to anything in that range. It doesn't matter what damage value. If you only want it to do 5 damage, replace this 30, make it 5. If you want to make it 1,000 damage, make it 1,000. Perfectly fine. Just make sure that you have it as override. Then we are going to summon in a death projectile. So basically, we're going to check, does anything in that area not have a totem of undying? If it doesn't have a totem of undying, that means it actually died from the attack. Therefore, summon a death proj, or an armor stand named death proj, which is death projectile. Then anything that doesn't have a totem of undying, see item totem quantity 0, is going to kill itself. And anything that does still have a totem is going to have that totem cleared from them. And then finally, we're going to give invisibility to the death projectile armor stands. Hopefully that is all pretty self-explanatory. I don't think it really needs to be explained all that much. Basically, if it kills something, it's going to summon it in. If not, it's going to remove the totem of undying, so it's not just walking around with the free totem. Okay. Next up, we're going to be doing the same timer system, basically adding soul score of 1 to the death proj. Then killing it if it reaches 90 or higher. If you want it to go farther, make this number higher. If you want it to be a shorter duration, make this number lower. And give it the tag Whimsy. This makes it go up and down, as well as have the blue flame surrounding it. Finally, give it the redstone dust torch particle. That's just going to give it the red particle that it has. Okay. Then what we're going to make it do is basically have it be constantly teleporting forward and slightly upwards, facing the nearest mob that is not an armor stand. So I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to kill anything near it, or track anything near it, I should say. Then once it attacks, it is going to do 24 entity attack damage, which is enough to kill like zombies, husks, these types of things. And yeah, pretty simple there. This command right here makes it so that if it actually hits a target that it can't kill, it's going to kill the projectile earlier. So you guys can see it pretty easily chains through a bunch of pillagers because it can one-tap a pillager. Anything the Bloodseeker cannot one-tap will actually destroy the projectile. So you can see we chain through all those pillagers pretty easily. But if I summon in a couple of iron golems, which actually can take the damage, you'll see that not only will the death projectile actually summon in, gotta hit him a couple times. I should have just done this. You're gonna see that the death projectile, it's only gonna hit one of them. I gotta summon him a little bit further away so they don't get aggressive and you can see it better. Death projectile is gonna run over, it's gonna hit one and immediately die. This makes it so it only chains between enemies if it actually gets a kill. Okay, so that is it as far as the base mechanics. Now, if you guys want, it will be fully functional. You didn't even have to do this original chain right here that I showed at the very beginning. If you just did what I showed you right now, you're going to have a fully functioning magical system. You can also do this too. This makes it so that whenever you grab something, it's going to play that animation that you guys saw on the pillager, where they kind of like look around and then look sort of all confused. So pretty simple, just have that on 0 tick delay. Copy this command exactly how you see it. So now we're going to get into the advanced parts, which is the first person animations. So, couple of things, and honestly, actually, the way I have this right now might be slightly more complicated than it needs to be. I need to do some more experimenting, but don't worry, I have some great ideas, and I'm still learning this stuff, which means that I'll have more stuff soon to share with you guys. Like fixing this. Okay. So, basically what we're going to do is we're going to be setting molang variable scores based on the player's actual scoreboard value. So what we need to do here is basically when the player's scoreboard soul equals 0, we're going to set their v.anim score to 0. When it equals 1, we will set their v.anim score to 1. When their sol score equals 2, we will set their v.anim score to 2. And when their v.anim score, when their sol score equals 59, we will set their v.anim score to 3. Basically, these are just 4 different keyframes. We have the normal animation, the very start of the attack, the slowly raising of the hands of the attack, and then the final snap back in towards the self. Those are the 4 different keyframes that we're going to be switching between. So, first of all, the normal animation looks like this. Pretty simple, right? You guys got that? You guys got that? Got that all memorized? Don't worry, this will be, once again, I'll have all the play animation commands in the video description. If I forget when I post it, just leave me some comments, I'll read them. I read pretty much every comment. Basically, it's going to set all the values to 0. You should be 0. I don't know why you're not. I'm going to leave it for now because I might mess something up. But basically, it's going to reset all the animations to kind of put your hand back to here, ready to go for your next attack. Then, fine. So then after we actually start it, we need to do the animation that's at the start of the keyframe, which is this one right here. Then we need to transition to the next part of the keyframe, which is at the arm all the way up, which is this one. And finally, we need to have the actual snap, which is this command right here. Now, you might be wondering, Guppy, why aren't you explaining any of what's going on? Do you just not understand it? Well, actually, I'm getting to the point where I do actually understand. I mean, these 4 animations right here, I wrote them completely by myself. I didn't actually need any help. I understand them well enough now that I do think, at the very least, I know how to write them myself. I think I'm getting close, at least, to the point where I could actually explain them pretty well. However, I don't want to do it as part of this animation, as this tutorial, as that would take way too long. I do want to do a separate play animation, show you guys how to make custom animations and keyframes and transition between them at a later point. It's got to be its own tutorial. It's too complicated for this. But that is the end of the Blood Magic tutorial, so I hope you guys enjoy, have fun, and look out for the upcoming Thor remaster that I'm going to be working on. Can't wait to see you guys then.